Well, it only took me 9 years, but I finally proposed, and to nobody's surprise, she said, "No, you're weird and your hair's too long." Not really, she said yes, and it was a great time for everybody involved. But a girl did say that to me in 7th grade when I asked her to be my square dance partner, and I think about it often. Well, look at me now, Sophia. Howdy, I'm Kurt Williams, and if you couldn't tell by the dozens of times I've mentioned it in my videos, I love the graphic novel Bone quite a bit. I've been reading it since the 3rd grade, and it's had a huge impact on my sense of humor, my appreciation of nature, and my love of storytelling. But most importantly, it was one of the first things that my fiancée Molly and I bonded over. Bone has ridiculous potential for references that make great inside jokes like stupid rat creatures, Chuckles wants real eggs, wanna arm wrestle, and anything to do with quiche. But on top of the sense of humor, there's also that strong romantic subplot as well as a sacred sense of nature, and those things influenced our relationship as well. A lot of gifts that I gave her, especially early on, were references to Bone, and we even dressed up like rat creatures for Halloween one year, and I wish I had a picture to show you, but I don't think I do. So we were very excited to find out a few years later that there's a state park in Ohio called Hocking Hills, which inspired the valley in Bone because Jeff Smith spent a lot of time there. Charles Vess's art in the prequel Rose is also directly inspired by Hocking Hills, and Vess perfectly captures that ancient magical sense that you get when you're in the park. Old Man's Cave from Bone is literally Old Man's Cave from Hocking Hills. Conkle's Hollow appears on the map of the valley in Bone, and the actual Conkle's Hollow in Hocking Hills is one of the best hikes. So when it came time to plan the proposal, I knew that I had to do it here. But I couldn't just go there and do it and be done with it. No, sir, I had to do it big. Because if you saw my videos where I went to every comic shop in Michigan, then you know that I'm the kind of person who likes big projects. And I only get to propose once, so it's gotta be good. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a Bone-themed scavenger hunt that led us through the park, and then the final item was the ring? And then, oh, isn't that convenient? Thorne spends the last few books looking for the crown of horns, which turns out to be a giant rock, which is kind of like a ring, right? So I could have us find a map, just like Bone found a map of the valley at the beginning of the series, and then the map leads us through the valley, just like it's the progression of the books, and then we finally get led to the end of the book, which is where we find the crown of horns, and I whip out the ring, and it all comes together beautifully, and it's gonna be so cool! And then I remembered that I live in Georgia, so I can't exactly pop up to Ohio to set the whole thing up. So I enlisted some help. In total, I had 12 people help me propose, and this is what we did. The first breadcrumb was placed by my friend Tom Pescatore, an author that I interviewed a while ago. He made a post on Reddit about some kind of scavenger hunt in the park that involved Bone, and that there was supposed to be some kind of map at the visitor center, but he didn't give away any details and asked if anyone had any information. This way I didn't have to make a fake website or something that might accidentally attract too much attention. Just the idea of it being out there was all that I needed. Next, I had another friend, Chase, the guy who sent me all those comics a little while ago, comment on my old Bone video about that Reddit post. Then I casually mentioned it to Molly because from her perspective this is all brand new information that neither of us has anything to do with. But she was more of a detective than I thought she would be, and when nothing else on the internet corroborated the story, she kinda dismissed it entirely. But a week or so later we stopped in Hocking Hills on our way back to Michigan, and I had to work so hard to unsuspiciously get her to go check with the visitor center to see if they had this fabled map. Which they did, and she was immediately on to me. But let's look at this map. My friend Adri made this for me. He's the camera guy for most of my Michigan comic shop videos. I needed the map to be a cross between the map of the valley from Bone and an actual trail map of Hocking Hills. We had to move some things around to make it fit nice, but I'm really happy with the result. The map came with a clue, which was made by her sister, and the clue said, "Welcome to the valley, you're a long way from home. Check in with the welcoming party. Watch your step, he looks like a leaf. Before you go too far, because there are some mean critters in these woods you'd do best to avoid. Good luck, and try to get out before it snows." So we looked at the map, saw the Ted the Bug symbol right by the upper falls, and we headed there. Her best friend Abby made Ted the Bug, and then she hid nearby to make sure that nobody messed with him. And oh boy, did people try to mess with him. But look how cute he was, with his little note and bouquet of flowers. Ted had a note that said, "Hello, I'm Ted. I'm a bug. You'll love it here in the valley. We've got the best honey and the fastest cows. What's that you're looking for? A gown of corns? Nope. Haven't seen one. But my good buddy Lucius Down might know. He runs the Barrelhaven Tavern in town." Abby got some photos of us reading the clue, and I like this one because my dog knows exactly where she's hiding. So we kept following the trail looking for the Barrelhaven Tavern, and I almost missed it because I hadn't seen any pictures or anything of it before the day. Another friend of ours, Zach, built this miniature version of the Barrelhaven Tavern. He's one of them real nerdy dudes who likes to paint miniatures with a microscope, so I figured he'd be the right guy for this job. My mother was guarding the station, and seconds before we got there, a kid had ran up and picked picked it up and then put it down in a very non-picturesque way. So I thought that it was trash from afar, and I went over in an effort to convince Molly that I didn't know where it was, but instead I ended up beelining directly to it as if I'd put it there myself. We took the roof off, and we found another note inside which said, "Attention travelers, the tavern will be closed indefinitely following reports of dragons, fictional creatures, I say again, at large. Any information or concerns can be conveyed to the officials at Old Man's Cave." So if you're keeping track, we're right around the end of Book 5, getting into Book 6. So we headed down to Old Man's Cave, where we could see from a distance that there was some kind of monk standing around. At first I suggested that it was a mannequin maybe, but then she saw it move. This was my dad dressed up as a stick eater, complete with a sword. So many people took pictures with him while he was there. I think that aside from being so hot under all those robes, he had a pretty good time. So we got our next clue from him and took this selfie, and she probably hates this picture, but oh well. And that clue said, "Your journey has just begun. Ancient forces stir, and your profound connection to the dreaming is all that lies between the balance and the destruction of the valley. Go to the holy temple in Athea and refine your skills, for a great struggle is nearly upon us. Beware of ghost circles. Keep your inner eye open. Seek the crown of horns." So we kept following the trail down to Athea, which was at a split in the trail. If we'd gone south, we would have gone all the way to Darren which was a really long walk in the actual park. Or if we had gone north, we would have headed over to Darren and eventually Broken Rock Falls. And this is where I had to actually step away from the plot of the story a little, but I'll get there. Athea was this super cool model that her dad built, and this is the temple ruins from Book 8. And the Harvestar family crest here actually turns and comes out to reveal that there's a clue inside. And that clue says, "The Hooded One's armies threaten to overrun the city, but that is the least of your concerns. Her master, the Lord of the Locust, has returned at last. Go to where his host, Queen Mim, has broken the earth with her arrival. There you will find that which you seek and restore balance to the valley." Now, this is where it's not comic accurate because the Crown of Horns is in Tannengard in the comic, but I wanted us to end up at Broken Rock Falls because I thought it would be prettier. Turns out, I was thinking of the wrong place. In fact, I was so mistaken about where we were and where we were going that we went up the wrong path, accidentally came up right behind my dad and her sister and almost ruined the whole thing, and then didn't even realize that we were at Broken Rock Falls. Luckily, my dad still had his hood on so we couldn't see his face, and her sister managed to hide her face fast enough that she couldn't tell who it was. And then, luckily again, they had placed a big X on the ground right where they wanted us to stand for their proposal. So I had a moment of clarity, realized that we were in the place where there was supposed to be a giant waterfall, but there wasn't, and I managed to get her to stand in the exact right spot facing away from me long enough that I could pull out the ring and do the thing. And you could barely hear me propose over her yelling, "I knew it!" right in my face. So over the course of 4 months, I was secretly communicating with all of these people so that we could get all the pieces in place, and on the day we could just show up and walk through it. Everybody did an amazing job, and I'm super grateful for all the help. I've always loved working on big projects, but it wouldn't be possible without the real team players who show up and get it done. In case you're wondering, yes, I did reach out to Jeff Smith to see if he or anybody on the Bone team would like to be a part of this in any way, and unsurprisingly, I didn't get an answer. I didn't really expect one, but wouldn't it have been so cool if the stick eater had turned out to be Jeff Smith himself? Or if I had made a quiche and then placed a cardboard box with a stick holding it up right on top of it so it looked like a rat creature trap? I even thought about asking somebody to dress up like the Great Red Dragon and then shamble around just far enough away from the trail that we could hear them but couldn't really see them that clearly, but that's against park rules, so don't do that. Anyway, if you take anything away from this, it should be that A, you need to step up your proposal game. Not really, but B, literature can not only have a profound impact on your development, but also the development of your relationships. My relationship with Molly was greatly enriched by this literature, and I hope that other people will give it the chance to enrich their relationships as well. This graphic novel is possibly the greatest gateway into comics and reading in general, honestly, that I know of. If you haven't read it, sweet baby rays, go read it, and then spread that thing. Your nephew or niece has a birthday? Give them bone. Your grandma sits around in the nursing home doing nothing all day? Bone. Drop a bunch of copies from a helicopter. They're not that heavy. This is the end. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. More cool stuff coming soon.